Oh, hey. So, doing another video today. Not too often I post two in a week, but yesterday was a special bonus video. And for this time, talking about retro nostalgia stuff that there's been quite a resurgence in these things. Like, a few weeks ago I did that unboxing video of that 90s gift box time capsule thing. We've seen vinyl records come back. Who the hell thought that would have ever happened? I heard a rumor a while ago that VHS was coming back. I don't know if that's true or not. I guess that is just a rumor. And I've seen Pogs. I'm sure some of you have seen them as well. Now, the Pogs aren't really as not good as the ones from the 90s. Maybe it's just because I'm not 8 years old anymore, but I also feel like there was more of a variety back then, and plus the slammers now are plastic, whereas they were metal back then, but whatever. Now, what I'm referring to is we go out and buy these retro vintage things, like they say, you just can't beat the classics. But what is it that draws us to this stuff, that makes us go out and want to buy these classic vintage things? Well, I think there's a few reasons. For one thing, it's a great hobby. I mean, I have more hobbies than I know what to do with. I think it's better to have too many hobbies than to have none at all. But, and it's part of the hobby of, like, collecting in general, not just retro stuff. Sometimes it's the thrill of the hunt. Like when you're on your way to a flea market, yard sale, and you're like, adrenaline's all pumping, like, what am I gonna find today? I can't wait. And you get all excited when you find something like really good, or you find something for a decent price or whatever that's kind of hard to come by, or whatever the case may be. And it's nice, and it's kind of fun to like build bonds and relationships with people. Like I remember, there was this flea market I used to go to. I haven't been there in years because it's a half hour away plus traffic. There was this guy that worked there, very nice guy. He sold like retro toys, video games, game magazines, and let's say he was selling a copy of Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. Prior to bringing it there to sell, he would take it apart, clean it all up and everything, and you'll put in a brand new internal battery, and he'd still give you a great deal for it. This is the kind of person this guy was. And speaking of like bonds, sometimes there are more tragic reasons for this. Is that if you lose somebody you cared about, or they left you, and you kind of just fill in a void or a hole. Or if this hasn't happened to me personally, but I know people it has happened to, when they have a sibling pass away, and their way of coping with it is that maybe if they had a Sega Genesis when they were kids and they had like great memories playing like Sonic the Hedgehog and Streets of Rage and things like that, and it's just like, so they go out and buy a Genesis or dig out theirs and then they play it because it's like it just brings them back to those happier times that they had when they were, But on a lighter note, there are other reasons for doing this. Is that, well, we all have those things that we want as a kid but never got. For me, case in point, I remember, a toy line that was born around the same time as me that ran into the mid-90s was Micro Machines. I loved Micro Machines as a kid. I had quite a few of them, and I had the ones that were called Insiders, where you'd open them up and the little mini car would pop out that was even smaller than a Micro Machine. I had those ones that, I forget what these were called, but it was like, they had like a little magnifying glass on them, and then you'd hold them up to the light and look inside. You could see like people, like a little hologram type of thing, so to speak. And I had a couple of the play sets that was like a leather case that you'd open it up and it had the layout, the background, you put the pieces and stuff. I had two of them. One was a canyon, the other was like a garage or something. But one thing that I had always wanted back then that didn't get was the Super Van City! Yeah, that's how the commercial used to say it. So, this was a few years ago. Found it. I need to give it a good hose down. Again, because it's got... I've had it tucked away and it's gotten kind of dirty. And like I said, I need to clean it again. Needs to good hose down or something. But anyway, doesn't it kind of look like a Barbie vehicle or something? So anyway, it's a van that drives and everything, and then you open it up. Jesus. And we have a city that you play with your micro machines. And it was a good deal. You know, I found it for a good price. Like I said, I need to give it a good hose down. Yuck. But I think one of the big reasons why it's definitely one of mine is that, you know, aside from like, oh, I never had this as a kid or that, but it's also, it's like the memories we have with these things that like, it's almost like a time machine in your brain. So like, when you buy these classic things like toys or video games or whatever, or like when you play with them or look at them or whatever, it's almost like you're flicking that switch in your brain that turns on the time machine, you know, and it brings you back to like those memories. For example, still have my G.I. Joes. I got a box. One of them just fell out. And got another great toy line that... Funny story. I remember when I was a kid, I loved making what the hell do you call it? Forts and bases for G.I. Joes. And I had this box that was very unique. It's kind of hard to describe, but I had the box set up. I mean, I had the box with, I put the G.I. Joes, like, along with other figures, and, like, I had the Kenner Alien action figures. I had a whole bunch of those. I had those, the G.I. Joes, and a bunch of other, like, action figures set up in the box. And then my brother had a toy of MODOK, you know, that, like, big head guy with the arms and the body from, the wheelchair thing from, what the hell do you call it, Marvel Universe. He had the toy of him, and then, out of the blue, he just takes the MODOK thing and goes, "He's coming in too fast," and whips him into the box. G.I. Joes went flying everywhere. It was freaking hysterical. Another thing was that, I forget if it was the 70s or the 80s that Fisher-Price Little People came out. So we got them, it was before I was born. My family got a bunch of the play sets and stuff, which, you know, we had them like going into the 90s, but we had like one of the parking garages, because there was a whole bunch of different versions of that, and we had one of the Sesame Street buildings, and we had this. Not the same one, because ours wasn't in as good a shape. You know, and ours, I think we ended up getting, like, a lot of things we ended up donating or something, but, so anyway, yeah, with ours, this was broken off. The stickers were all fading and peeling and everything. But anyways, it was a couple of years, last year actually, I went on eBay, I was browsing on eBay, and I saw this for, it was $15 with free shipping, and, you know, I could see that it was in really good shape, so I was like, I have to buy this. Like, I literally have to buy this. So, my nephews love it too. That's another thing. It's nice to share these things with future generations. Like, you know, as long as they're careful. Like, you know, but yeah, one of my favorite memories I have with those was using it for my Z-Bots, which was kind of an obscure toy line from the 90s. I still have the ones from when I was a kid, and then I've obviously added more to them over the years, so I had to get a bigger box for them. But yeah, I've made a few videos on them. They're like these little 2-inch robot figures. I'll show you a whole handful of them. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they came in a variety of colors and sizes and stuff. They had cool vehicles, too. I actually made a whole video about this, like memories with my Z-Boss, God, when I first made this channel. And there's two in particular that I'd like to reshare for those of you who are new and whatnot, because like I said, it's been 5 years. Well, one thing I probably should have mentioned is that we also used to mix everything together. Anything that was like around this size, like, you know, Battle Beasts, these guys were called Snailians, Fisher Price things, anything in this size, we just mix them all together. But mostly it was Z-Bots. And my mom, or our mom, I should say, had there was a Burger King that was down the street from her house. It's actually still there. So it's been there for probably, God, like, over 30 years, maybe 40, I don't know, who knows. Anyway, that Burger King, there was, oh, let me back up a bit. It had to have been 94. There was a, because my brother and I being obsessed with Z-Boss when we were kids, and it was Burger King, they had, that was the kids' meal toy, was, they had Z-Bots for one time. And so naturally, my brother and I had to try and collect them all. And we went there a number of times, and we caught, my brother and I each got at least 5 of this one figure, who was the first figure. And we were like, well, we might as well use him as a foot soldier. So then, we went to visit our grandparents who lived in New Hampshire, and on the ride back, we stopped at Burger King for lunch. And my brother was making the joke like, oh wait, scratch that. They had the second figure, which was this bat guy, and my brother had made the joke. And I was like, oh, the one at home probably still has the first guy. Well, they didn't have the first guy. They didn't have the... No, I'm mixing myself up here, sorry. We went to Burger King that night. I think it was the same night. We had Burger King for dinner, so we had it for Burger King for lunch and dinner. We had Burger King at the one at home, you know, down the street from my mom's house, and they didn't have the first Z-Bot, they didn't have the second one, it was the third one. And then probably a week or two later, we went there, and we got the fourth guy. We never did get the fifth and final one, but, you know, from me collecting them, buying them online and stuff over the years, I did get my hands on them. That sounded wrong. And one of my other... This is probably my most favorite memory with Z-Bots was... This might even have been the same year. I remember my brother and I... Well, my family, we went to a fair. And my brother and I bought these Fisher Price playsets. Because, you know, this was like the early, mid-90s. And, his was like a office building. Mine was a city street, and we used to use these to play like, well, we'd play beat 'em ups. We'd each pick a couple of characters to you know, because that was how a beat 'em up was. You'd have like 3 or 4 characters or whatever, and then we just fight an onslaught. You know, we'd use our little play sets and find an onslaught of Z-Bots. We'd use the soundtrack from Turtles in Time. Remember, you could listen to the soundtrack in the menu? So we'd use, like, all the different levels and then, like, the boss theme and stuff. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. You know, it's funny is that my 2 top favorite toy lines from my childhood were Z-Bots and Ninja Turtles, which is funny because, well, Ninja Turtles are still around, you know, but that's beside the point. It's funny to think that it's like how these were my 2 favorite toy lines. You know, it's like Ninja Turtles. Everyone and their mother knows the Ninja Turtles, but Z-Bots were more of an obscure toy line. But naturally, you know, I gotta have some Ninja Turtles. I got a case here with most of these. The only ones that I still had from when I was a kid was, because most of mine got broken or lost over the years, but the only ones I still had were Chrome Dome and Triceraton. You know, most of the others were ones I kind of just bought, like, for whatever reason, whether they be ones I didn't have or I did have. And just, why not, you know? I also have the Turtle Van, which, because I never had this as a kid, and I bought a bunch of the I got Splinter in here, because also they're not going to all fit in the case. And I was like, you know what? Instead of buying like the actual turtles, I'm going to buy some of the more gimmicky ones. So, got a Samurai Leonardo, Space Wrath, whose mask just fell off. I'll get that in a moment. Donatello with his disguise, and he comes with this little mask that he... Oops, if I can get it on there. Looks like an idiot. And then we have the skateboarding Michelangelo. So anyway, I remember my brother had this too, and so did my my neighbor. They had the turtle van. My brother also had the blimp and the Technodrome, and so it's like, yeah, when I look at these, and it's just, God, what can you say? It's friggin' Ninja Turtles. Like, God, I remember the cartoon, the classic games. Like, you know, I already mentioned Turtles in Time. There was the Manhattan Project. God, I remember the fighting game. Funny thing, I feel like I remember the NES version of that more than the SNES one. I don't know why, but I remember one of my favorite characters was, I think his name was Armagon, that like shark guy. I don't think there was ever a toy of him. But another thing is that sometimes I like to buy the McDonald's or like Burger King toys, the classic Happy Meal, Kids Meal toys. There's a couple of ones that I have great memories with. What are these called? The McChangeables or whatever the hell you want to call them. I had these when I was a kid, but I went back and rebought some of the classics just because why not? We have the Hot Cakes, which converts into a pterodactyl. The large fries, which converts into, it's either a Stegosaurus or an Ankylosaurus. The milkshake, which converts into a Patasaurus, I believe. At least that's, or yeah. And then we have the chicken nuggets, which converts into, I forget what that's called. Now, one of the other things was that, hell, I still watch cartoons. I don't give a shit how old I am. One of my favorites from my childhood that I still watch, it like never gets old, is Tiny Toon Adventures, and it was like, God, I need something that, like, you know, some type of toy that really resembles that, because it's a show that really takes me back, and like, so I got these, which I remember these. I had these when I was a kid, and there was other versions of these too. Like, you know, it was a concept that, you know, a toy concept Happy Meal thing that McDonald's did a number of times over the years. I remember they did it with the Dalmatians, like that cartoon series, but I forget what these were called, like double-sided cars or something, but it was like the thing that's like, so here we have Elmira, who then converts into Buster Bunny. We have Plucky Duck, who converts into Babs Bunny. We have Monty, who converts into Go-Go. And then we have Hampton, who converts into Dizzy. Now, one last one was that I actually usually have these on like display over there. I showed them in my room tour video. It's these little launcher type things. Oh, if you can see them. You know, you punch them and they launch. It does work. I was just holding on to it because I didn't feel like digging it out after. But anyway, ironically, these came out around the same time as the Super Nintendo, and because my brother, I don't think he owned F-Zero, but I know he rented it, and it was like, these to us looked like the vehicles from F-Zero. Like, that literally looks like the, you know, drawing a blank on that guy's vehicle, but you know what I'm talking about. So it was like, we used to play like F-Zero with these things. And it was funny, I could never remember the name of them, but it was like every time I played F-Zero, it was like I thought of them. It was like, I had to try and find these. So through some digging online, I did find them. You know, like I said, I have them on display, and you know, it makes me think of F-Zero and the Super Nintendo, which I've said a million times, my favorite console of all time. So that's just some of my stuff that have memories with and stuff. So what are some of the reasons that you guys collect retro things? You know, is it the same reason as me? Like, you know, is there any great memories you have with them? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.